The 2023 Winter Games NZ Alpine events, hosted by Coronet Peak, saw the Alpine superpowers of Team USA, Norway, Switzerland and Austria migrate south with strong teams of technical skiers to provide stiff competition for New Zealand's finest. Giant Slalom was the first race on the calendar. It is contested over 2 runs, with only the fastest 30 racers descending the second run in reverse order. The women's race was a fantastic test of both emerging and established Kiwi Alpine talent. Coming off the back of a win in the New Zealand National Slalom, Michaela Smith knew the Winter Games NZ would offer her a chance to test her skills against the very best. An eye-catchingly smooth first run saw her in touch with the leaders just a second and a half back in 10th place. And despite the course warming rapidly for run 2, she fought for every 100th of a second and was rewarded with a memorable 10th place finish. Coronet Peak is Alice Robinson's second home. She has spent so much time on this mountain, she knows how to extract speed from every roll and undulation. The third skier to drop, she set the pace with a blistering first run. That was until AJ Hurt, who dropped 15th, put 12 hundredths of a second into her time to finish in 49.7 seconds. It would give the American the luxury of dropping last in the second run. Alice was the penultimate skier to drop, knowing that if she wanted to beat Hurt, she would have to put down a formidable second descent. And that is exactly what she did. She drove her skis beautifully with power and aggression in the softening conditions. 55.25 seconds for a combined time of 1:45.07. Hurt was under pressure, and she unleashed the Kraken. She smashed every single one of the 36 gates of the course into submission. Her time? 55.32 seconds, 7 hundredths behind Robinson. But when combined with her first run time, it was still 5 hundredths of a second faster than Robinson. It was a fitting climax to a brilliant day of racing that saw AJ Hurt in first, Alice Robinson in second, and Nina O'Brien in third. Three days later, and once again, perfect conditions greeted the skiers, who were preparing to take on Coronet's Pro-Am slalom course. Melt-freeze conditions meant the racers faced an icy first run, but once again, with temperatures forecast to rise rapidly, strategy and a decent wax tech would undoubtedly play their part. After the first run, the men were incredibly close. Norway's heavy hitters Timon Haugan and Olympic bronze medalist Sebastian Foss-Solvang were among those leading the charge. A crisp run from Great Britain's Laurie Taylor saw him poised for a podium finish. He was fourth after run 1. But it was the American Jimmy Krupka who led the field. But with less than half a second separating the top 8, it was still way too close to call. The same as Giant Slalom, only the top 30 dropped for the second run, and they are in reverse order. Ranked 28th after run 1, the young Brit Callum Langmuir dropped in third and used a fresh course set and the best of the conditions to put in a fantastic time of 47.22, the fastest second run of the day, and it saw him hold the lead for the next 19 skiers. But just as his hopes of a shock win were starting to look like a possibility, the Swiss Reto Mekler took the lead by just over 0.2 of a second. Meckla's lead was short-lived though, as the Coronet regular Belgium's Sam Mays fired up the afterburners and put 0.4 of a second into the Swiss's overall time. Top seed Timon Haugan squeezed every last ounce of speed he could muster from the Pro-Am piste. But despite his best efforts, he was still 3.5 tenths off the pace set by Mays. Laurie Taylor was next, and the fleet-footed Brit was closest yet to Mays. The clock never lies though, and as he crossed the finish line, he was still 0.2 of a second back. Next, it was the turn of Halvor Gunnlaugsrud. The powerful Norwegian had the pace and was eating into the clock. Until less than 8 gates from the finish, he found himself wheeling out of a quick transition and saw his hopes of the top 3 vanish in a cloud of snow. With just one skier left to drop, Mays must have felt like he had one foot on the top step of the podium. But the American Krupka delivered a bolt of lightning, especially considering the deteriorating conditions. And he claimed the win with just over 0.2 of a second to spare. So Laurie Taylor in third, Sam Mays in second, and Jimmy Krupka in first.
I was a little surprised, for sure. I knew I'd made some mistakes that could have cost me, but I also knew that other guys could have made mistakes too. And so when I heard that I won, I was stoked.
In the women's slalom, it was the appropriately named American Ava Sunshine who stepped up to her billing as the favourite. After 2 second places at Coronet Peak in 2022, her first run was a clear statement of intent that she wanted to go one better in 2023. Sunshine was over 3/4 of a second ahead of her nearest rival, the Austrian Valentina Furtscheller. New Zealand's Michaela Smith showed why she is one of New Zealand's most exciting young Alpine talents, sitting in 5th place after the first run, just ahead of the giant slalom winner, AJ Hurt.
It's such a technical hill, but I think the most important thing is to just go out there and work every single turn and give it everything you've got. As the second run started, it became clear that the Americans had the edge. First, it was Dasha Romanov. The Colorado native taking the lead with the second run time of 49.42. Compatriot AJ Hurt was the next to descend Florian Melmer, the Austrian coach's fluid course set. And it was a masterclass from start to finish. She barely put a ski out of place, and her time of 47.67 was over 1.5 seconds quicker than her nearest rival. With a great first run time to build on, Michaela Smith was hunting for a top 5 finish. But a couple of small mistakes up top were compounded by the warming snow. And she found herself off the pace with a combined time of 1:37.09. It was 3 seconds behind Hurt, but it would still be enough for 9th place. 2 top 10 finishes against this calibre of racer are nothing to be sniffed at. The Austrian Furtscheller was up next, and like those before her, she couldn't match Hurt's phenomenal performance. Despite convincingly beating Hurt on her first run, she would finish almost 2 seconds off the pace in third. And
And so the last skier to drop was Ava Sunshine, the fastest skier from the first run. She had the chronological advantage. But the snow conditions were not in her favour. She attacked valiantly. But it wasn't enough. A 49.81 saw her settle for second place once more and hand the victory to AJ Hurt, a skier who had showcased her very best skiing exactly when she needed it most.
Came here today, I feel like I was mostly looking for fist points, to be honest, and I wanted just to have some good solid skiing, and yeah, 2 good runs put together, I guess. It's really great. I feel like it's nice to have momentum this early, even though we won't have a lot of races for a while. It's nice to start the season off with something strong. So.